Hi and welcome. I am Yasmin Soraya Broca, and this is another episode of The Path of the Feminine, a series of videos where we explore the path of feminine spirituality and the path of reclaiming our feminine power. So, in this video today, I want to talk to you about the feminine nervous system. So there has been a lot of studies being done in the last decades on the nervous system and how it works and how it affects our experience of life and how we feel in our daily life. And there is something that has not yet been very transparent and very considered and known, that has only been coming up in the last years, which is that the way the nervous system functions is different in the two genders. So the masculine nervous system functions differently than the feminine nervous system. How so? So just by the fact that our physical bodies are different in their design, in their functions, there is already a different way of functioning for us as human beings, depending which gender we are. And this affects also our nervous system. So due to the fact that the feminine has in its basic idea of how the body is created, a feminine being has a different purpose in evolution than a masculine dominant being, a man, means that already because of that, the way it functions is designed differently. And we just need to look back at when we were still living wild as humans, for example. The way that we are designed as women, we are created to give birth and to raise children. The way our hormones are designed, for example, we have estrogen as a dominant hormone, which is literally designed to make you as a woman nurturing, to give you the desire to nurture and take care, so that you naturally have the tendency, once you birth the baby into the world, to take care of it. This is just the natural way that nature designed us to make sure that we as a species can exist and can continue to exist. We have that natural tendency to nurture and to take care of others. We are designed more openly, more connected to nature. We are receptive beings already by the way our body is designed. We receive the energy from outside. We are more turned inward. We are more receptive. We receive the energy that comes from around us. We are open. We are soft. We are created the way our bodies are created in soft, round shapes. They don't have harsh edges. They are meant to be gentle and soft and welcoming and warming. And the masculine is different. He's created more in a sharper way. He's more muscular in the way he's created. He's more strong, solid, armoring, that natural way that we needed to be back when we were still living wildly. Because the masculine was meant to be the protector. He was meant to protect and provide, to protect us from wild animals, to protect us from other tribes or whatever, anything that was a threat. The masculine was meant to protect us, women and children, from that. So he was designed to do that. He was created in a way that he's strong, he's physically strong, his whole body shape is harsher and harder, and he has a natural armor in that sense. He has a physically created natural armor to support him in his role as a protector and as a provider, because provision back in the wild meant hunting wild animals, putting yourself in danger every day, and you have to be able to fight and be strong and resilient for that. So the way our bodies are designed, and the masculine dominant hormone is testosterone, and testosterone literally affects the aggression levels. So it affects the activity. It affects that outwards aggression, that ability to go into fight states, which the men needed because they needed to be able to fight. They needed to have that hormone that supports them in not freezing or running away from a fight, but being able to fight when it was necessary. So the way our bodies are designed is completely different. And that is just the way it is. That's the way nature created us, for a good reason, because evolution wouldn't be possible if we'd be physically the same. Recreation wouldn't be possible if we'd be physically the same. We are two sides of the same coin that together build a whole and then can create new life. This is just how nature works. This is how the whole universe works. We are living in a universe of duality, of two sides, of two aspects. Everything has two aspects. There's day and night, there's sun and moon, there's light and dark. Everything has two aspects. And when they come together in harmony, that's when they create the whole. And from that whole, something new can thrive, something new can be created. This is just how reality works in a dual reality, in a duality-based reality. So from that place, our nervous systems are also programmed differently, because the way the nervous system of men is programmed is focused on what they needed to be. In their basic idea, they needed to be protectors. They needed to be able to fight, to attack, to not fear to aggress, not fear to be aggressed and fight back. They needed to be able to flee, to run when they were on the hunt and they were chasing, well, they were hunting wild animals and they got attacked by an animal. They needed to be able to flee, to run, to have that flight mode very strongly developed, to have that reaction. That's how their nervous system needed to be, because that was the main reactions that they needed to survive. One was to, when I can't flee, I need to fight. Or when I need to protect my family, I need to be able to fight. So I need to have a nervous system reaction that gives me that power to fight, that makes me feel like this is the right thing to do. Or I need to have that nervous system reaction of flight, of running, of fleeing, when that is the thing that will guarantee my survival and my family's survival best. So that is how the masculine nervous system naturally evolved. It developed the fight and flight response. And this is the response we actually have known since I actually just lost the word. Since hundreds of years now. We know about the fight and flight response since well over 100 years, probably more. It is known in psychology, we are aware of it, and we've been working with it. But the truth is that is only the masculine way of the nervous system. That's only how the masculine nervous system works. The feminine nervous system does not function like that. The feminine nervous system has a different natural response. Why? Because the feminine role, the female role, the woman's role, was a different one in the way we were designed originally for living out in the wild. The feminine beings, the women, weren't designed to protect and provide. They were designed to birth and to nurture and to care. So what was the role of the feminine? She was meant to birth and to take care of the children, to take care of the space. And this is not to be judged that you're supposed to be as a woman to only do that. Please don't get that wrong. You're not meant to spend your whole life sitting at home and taking care of children, and that's all you're meant to do. No, it just, what it means is that that's a natural aspect in the design of a woman, that she was created to have that desire to birth a child and to take care of it and to nurture a home and to create a loving space, a safe space, and to nurture and to care and to grow life. And that life can look like however you want. It might be that the life that you grow is a business. But this is the natural way of the feminine, to be in a safe space where she can nurture and grow life and take care of life. So the way the nervous system of the feminine was designed is that she developed two very different nervous system responses, which are, first of all, the fawn response. And the fawn response was very relevant for when, for example, a tribe, like an enemy tribe, attacked and, for example, killed all the men, or the men weren't there to protect for whichever reason, and the women had to find a way to survive. So that's, and to protect their children in a way, that's when the fawn response came in handy, because the fawn response is actually like a people-pleasing response. If that's maybe something that tells you a bit more, it's the I want you to like me, like adapting and shaping yourself in a way to make the other person like you. And because of that, putting yourself in a safe space, because when the other person likes you, the chances that they're going to hurt you are smaller. So the protection through people pleasing, through making somebody else like you, through changing the way you are and the way you react and the way you speak and interact with them, to adapt in a way to make them like you. This is the fawn response of the feminine, a survival strategy that was very relevant for feminine beings, that helped them and their children survive in those scenarios, and that we still as women carry as a very natural trauma response, stress response. Maybe you have observed yourself. Maybe you know already that you have people-pleasing tendencies. Many women do, because it's our natural nervous system response, right? So don't go all harsh on yourself that you have these people-pleasing tendencies in very stressful situations. Just know it's your natural nervous system response. And you can train your nervous system to hold more capacity, or better, to learn to regulate it better and regulate it down quicker, because a lot of the stress responses we have in our daily lives, we're actually not in a survival situation. Our life is not in danger. We are just stressed through something we perceive as threatening, or through something that triggers a trauma. So we can learn to regulate our nervous systems and to train our nervous systems to switch back into neutral state faster. And this way, those people-pleasing tendencies will disappear more and more and more. Because that's not that you are wrong in any sort of way, or you've been developing bad patterns or something. It's your natural nervous system response. So if you're struggling with people pleasing, focus on working with your nervous system, healing your nervous system, and learning to regulate your nervous system better, and expanding your capacity, your window of tolerance within your nervous system, and the people pleasing tendencies will reduce. I promise you that. Been there, done it. So the other response that we have in a female nervous system, that's our natural response, is the freeze response. And that is actually when, as a feminine being, we are in a situation where we can't utilize the fawn response. It is not possible for us. We freeze. We literally shut down. We go into playing dead state. And that's also the way that, because as a feminine being, we weren't designed to fight physically. Like, we can learn to fight, but it's not our design. We don't have the same amount of muscles and strength, and the way we're designed physically is just not for fight in our design. Because we couldn't really fight, like we weren't designed to fight. We didn't stand much of a chance to fight in many of the scenarios where we were in danger, when we were living in the wilderness. We would then play dead, because some wild animals, for example, when you play dead, they're not interested anymore. They leave. Like when the animal that they're hunting stops moving out of nowhere, they stop being interested. They feel like, no, there's something wrong with this animal. Maybe it's sick or something, and then they leave. So playing dead actually has a very natural response, a natural source there too. The freeze response is a very normal reaction too. Just we as women still have that as a nervous system reaction, as a standard, in an environment where actually playing dead doesn't serve us at all, because usually in nowadays world, when you freeze up and you shut down and you can't do anything anymore and you're completely frozen, usually the other person just runs you over like a truck if you were in a conflict, for example. or we are just like shutting down and we're not able to interact with our environment, and we're not able to like direct the energy where we want it to go, and we're not able to influence the world around us. But yes, that is the other reaction that we have as women naturally. We freeze. We freeze up, we shut down, we go into a state of like not feeling, numbing out. We don't feel anymore, we don't think anymore, we're numbed out, we are complete in shutdown state. And that's where we can protect ourselves from overwhelm and from not being able to deal with the situation and having to feel pain. We literally numb ourselves and freeze to the point that we don't feel the pain, we don't experience the emotions. This just frozenness, shutdown. And these are the two natural nervous system responses of the feminine. And of course, this doesn't mean that the feminine nervous system doesn't also know fight or flight. As we talked in all of the episodes of this video series, we're all both. We also have masculine energy in our system, and we also have learned masculine stress responses in our lives. So we all have both. So the feminine is also able to show fight or flight responses in certain situations. And her nervous system also has those responses, because also the feminine sometimes was in a situation where she had to run away from a wild animal, or she was pushed so much in a corner that she had to fight. So we have them. They're just not our first reactions. They're kind of like the third and the fourth reaction, and very dependent on the situation. It has to be really an extreme situation. And if you ever noticed that, I noticed that, for example, within me, I tend to freeze as a first reaction, fawn as a second reaction, often depending on the situation, but usually I freeze, and then often when it's an extreme situation, I fall into fawn, from freeze into fawn. Or when it's not so extreme situation, I fawn. But then if I am being really like pushed, and I feel like cornered and I feel pushed in a corner, that's when my nervous system switches into masculine mode and I go in fight or flight mode. And that's where I notice myself, for example, in a conflict, when someone when I'm in a fight with someone and they get verbally very aggressive, and they keep on pushing towards me, and they keep on getting more and more aggressive. I freeze, and then I go through those responses, and eventually I go into fight or flight mode. Like at first I will probably start fighting, like I become aggressive in my energy too, to like create myself space. And the moment I get space, I go into flight. I leave the situation. So we do have them as women too. It is normal that we all have both, just like the masculine also has freeze and fawn responses. Just they are not the main responses. They are not the the most developed. Sorry, English is not my first language. The most developed ones within us. So within the feminine, the most developed ones, the first two responses that we usually have when we're stressed is freeze and fawn. And in the masculine, it's fight and flight. But the masculine can freeze or fawn too in special situations, and the feminine can go into fight or flight too in special situations. But to understand that our nervous systems function differently allows us to work differently with them and understand ourselves differently in the situations where we are stressed, and then take different kinds of actions. Because if you as a feminine being only know about the fight and flight response, and you're in a stress situation, and you're asking yourself, because you're doing the personal development work and you want to get better and stuff, oh, I had this stress situation. What response was I in? Was I in fight or flight? Then you can't really answer it, and you can't really figure out what you could have done to get yourself out of that state. But if you understand that your feminine nervous system tends more to freeze or fawn, you can understand how that functions and how to get yourself out of these responses. For freeze, for example, it's movement, it's speaking up, it's moving the body, it's breathing deeper. For fawn, it's becoming aware of what is your truth, and even if just a little, changing the way you interact with your environment, tiny step by tiny step, again, towards what's true for you and not what you think the other person wants from you. So this is how we can learn when we become aware in those stress situations. Oh, I'm in a trauma, I'm in a stress response, I'm in a nervous system activation right now. We can understand our feminine nervous system and understand, like, okay, I'm going into freeze, I need to move my energy. Or, oh, I'm going into fawn, I need to connect to what's my truth, I need to come back to me. And as man, well, let's be honest, it's been 100 years that we've been talking about fight or flight. We have a lot of knowledge there, how to deal with fight or flight responses. And this is the path of the feminine, so I'm not going to go into that much deeper, but men can then adapt to their fight or flight responses. And as women also, once we notice, oh my God, now I'm in fight, I'm aggressing, we can then deal with it however it's right for us by creating the space so we don't feel cornered, for example. So yeah, understanding our nervous systems, our feminine nervous systems, and how they respond differently than what we were taught how a nervous system functions. And being able to work with that makes a huge difference in our lives, because once you understand and can work with your nervous system and can learn to heal it and regulate it better, you will become automatically more in tune with your power. You won't feel so much a victim to your environment when you're in tune with your nervous system. And when you know you have the power to regulate yourself and to de-stress yourself and to navigate your nervous system responses, and over time you will widen your window of tolerance if you learn to work with your nervous system well, and you won't be affected so easily anymore by outside circumstances that are actually not a danger to you, that are just like stress triggers, trauma responses of any kind of way, that are due to old trauma, due to cellular trauma, due to ancestral trauma, due to triggers that got created in your childhood. And that will help you to really access more of your feminine power and support you on your path towards fully embodying your feminine. Okay, this was a long one. I hope this serves you. If you enjoyed this episode, if you liked it, then please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what you got out of this, and if you already knew about these different responses and how the nervous systems of the masculine and the feminine work differently, or if that's completely new to you. I would really love to hear that. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to never miss an episode of The Path of the Feminine. And yeah, I will see you in the next video, in the next episode. Take care. Bye.